After subscribing, press the bell icon and never miss an update from EDUMORF.
Hey guys, I'm Harsh Mathur. I'm currently studying in BITS Pirani, and today's video is based on last minute preparation for JEE Mains. Now since JEE Mains is round the corner, only a few days before the D-Day comes, I would like to give a few tips, some tricks of the trade before you get in for the exam and come out with flying colors. So yeah, just in order to boost you for the exam, giving you a few tips, at least on the physics part of this paper, will definitely help you. Okay, so since I'm a physics enthusiast, in today's session I shall only be focusing on the physics section of the paper, but in the subsequent sessions I shall also give you some tricks and tips on mathematics and chemistry as well. Okay, so JEE Mains is not only an exam that measures your intellect and your intelligence, how many questions can you solve, but it also tests many other things. During the exam, there are hundreds of things that keep on going in your mind, and hence these examinations, these competitive examinations, these are the examinations in which your real patience, your real ability to withstand extreme situations, ability to perform under all that stress, all that tension that is developed in the exam hall during the examination. This is what tests. This exam is what all it tests. I mean, all these skills are actually tested in the examination. The questions, if you go home and solve a JEE Mains paper, you will notice that all these questions were not that tough as much as you have practiced. Obviously, the coaching classes will take you a notch higher than the problems that are actually asked, and that is because of one reason. As if you will prepare for 2x, you will be able to perform at x. That is a simple theory for all the competitive examinations, right? Moreover, this examination will, since it tests all these other skills too, you have to keep a balance between all of them, and hence you have to keep your efficiency at maximum level, at the maximum possible level. For this, there are many tips and tricks that I, as a student during my JEE preparation, I witnessed all of them. Right. So, since the paper is collectively, the first thing that you need to decide is the time management in all the three sections. The exam also tests a good ability of the person to manage his or her own time within the given problem or within the given conditions. Right. So in this case, the total mark weightage of the paper is 360 marks. Right. Then the total time that you have is around 180 minutes or so. Right. So that this theory might have been told to you by many professors or teachers as well, that you need to give around 2 minutes per question. Although this thing is not true, this is just an average value. In overall, you can't divide like 1 hour for each section and then say that, oh fine, I wasn't able to perform. Each of you as a student have different strengths, different subjects as their strengths, different topics as their strengths and weaknesses. Right. So dividing the time equally is not the solution. Also, as a general trend, the questions that are asked in JEE Mains, in the three sections, mathematics is the one that turns out not to be tough always, but yeah, it is always lengthy, no matter whether it is tough or easy. So mathematics is supposed to be lengthy, although the type of questions they vary, and hence I would always suggest you to give more time on maths as compared to physics and chemistry. Chemistry is not easy always, but yes, it has the most number of theoretical questions, and hence the time taken to answer those analytical or theoretical questions is less, and hence the net time to be given on it is the least among all these three sections. Physics is usually moderate; it is neither lengthy nor very tough. So hence, giving time around 45 minutes to physics is viable. Since the total time is that we have is 180 minutes. Say you take 10 minutes to fill up your OMR in the offline exam, and you keep a 5-minute buffer time so that you are able to relax during the paper, or in case of anything you drink water and all of that stuff, right? So subtracting this much time will give you like 165 minutes, right? So as a whole, you have around 165 minutes left to attempt all the questions before you mark them off, right? So in order to get to that, use these 165 minutes to the fullest. An average or something that I have noticed over all the question papers that I have solved is giving around 1 hour 15 minutes to maths, 1 hour 15 minutes to 1 hour 20 minutes to maths is around is the ideal case. Giving around 30 to 35 minutes for chemistry and giving physics around 45 to 50 minutes is the best possible division of time. But again, this time division may vary depending on the papers. For example, in the 2016 offline paper, maths was tricky, not only lengthy but also tricky, and hence people, if some people who followed this time division might have performed less over here and spent their time solving maths when they could have solved all these questions in the same time. Right. So this time division will vary paper from paper depending on which subject you are most strong with. This case is valid only when maths is not very tough but lengthy, chemistry is slightly tough but theoretical, and physics is moderately tough and moderately timed. Right. So other than any change in this condition will change the time division. For example, if a student is strong in physics as compared to maths, he might be willing to spend more time on physics than maths. But remember, do not spend much deviated time intervals on any of these subjects. Maths, some student might be strong in maths and might like to can easily solve lengthy problems in shorter time, and hence he might want to spend more time in physics as compared to maths. So this thing is student variable on the student as well. Other than the time division, the things that there are few tips and tricks in solving the physics paper. Right, there are a few certain, like some questions that are pretty easy, but people or students usually tend to forget them. Right, so out of this 120 marks, I would say around 40 marks is easily scoreable for any person who has been preparing for the past 2 years minimum. Right, usually in the physics paper, they usually ask questions from topics such as errors and measurements, semiconductors, polarization and diffraction. All these are discretely NCERT problems. All these there are around 4 to 5 questions in all from these topics. Out of 30 questions, around 5 questions are purely from the NCERT textbook. So solving these questions becomes utmost importance, for which all these topics need to be studied from the NCERT book. Like for example, in the 2016 paper, semiconductors had 4 questions in JEE Mains. So if a student had only read the chapter once or twice and known the formulas, that guy could have easily got 4 into 3, 4 into 4, around 16, or not, if he wasn't able to attempt all the 4, at least 12 marks out of 120, which is a good percentage of marks. So just go through all these topics from NCERT and focus on just the theory part of it and the formulas. There aren't much formulas or much difficult formulas, I would say. But yes, the theory part might take some time. So just don't ignore them from the NCERT. Read these topics from the NCERT and just remember them. So this is one criteria that I would like to notice. I would like you to take care, since all these questions are pretty easy. They are easily solvable in under a minute. Even if the equation, even if they involve solving parts, if they are just theory, it might just take around 30 to 40 seconds max. Other than that, please try and attempt the easy questions first. Out of this time interval that I have shown over here, you can easily spend 3 minutes just going through all the problems, just going through the entire section, just going through the entire physics section, and marking the questions that seem to be easy for you. Just mark the questions with a diagram and graph. Diagram and graph based questions are usually questions in which you're mostly given the data and you're just asked to analyze the question or just solve a few equations and get the answer based on the graph. So these questions are usually quickly solvable and are quite, accuracy can be maintained, since you can cross check your answers in many ways. And hence I would suggest you to attempt all the diagram based and graph based questions before you go for the other theoretical questions. So just go through the paper, mark all the diagram and graph based questions and try and attempt them if they are possible. And just don't spend too much time on any one problem. Don't spend more than 3 minutes max. You don't need to time yourself, but you will get an idea if you're spending more time. Just don't spend much time on any one single question just because of the fact that you have done that question and you're not getting it in the paper. That is quite a common practice and everyone suffers it. But the person who overcomes it will succeed. So just don't spend too much time on any one question. Other than that, there are a few tricks to get, like electrical circuit questions. They are usually easy, finding the net resistance, effective resistance, or the power output power, something based on capacitors. All these questions are usually easy and they are based on very simple circuits, but they just need to be analyzed and solved quickly. So just look for series and parallel circuits or some Wheatstone bridge formula, some general formula, some general question whose result you might remember. or something, right? Other than that, some statement based questions are the ones I would like to attempt towards the last. Since once you're done with most of the paper, you know that you have completed all the easy questions. These statement based questions might be less accurate than the rest, so I would prefer them doing towards the last. Okay, so these need to be done towards the last. Also, while solving questions, just take care of the units that are given in the question and the units that are given in the options. Sometimes they may vary, and the formula that you have learned might be in a different formula, so just take care of that. Also take care of the variables that you are assuming in the problem and the variables that are given in the problem. Sometimes the common variables which are taught in the coaching classes might not tally with might not tally exactly with the variables that are given in the paper, so just cross check the variables and the conditions that are provided in the question. Many formulas require some assumptions that need to be taken, but in the paper those assumptions might be removed, or some new assumptions might be given. So just take care of the assumptions and the conditions under which the equation has been proven and the conditions in which the question has been asked. Okay, so we're done with this point also. Okay, the final option for some questions in which just the formula is given and you need to just find the final value. There are some questions in which direct substitution of the options in one way or the other by manipulating the options in such a way that they can easily be substituted in some set formula or some part of the question. You can easily substitute the options in the question and tally the answers. Look, like in some questions, the results are asked to be compared, and in those questions, unit comparison or units and dimensions can also come as a help. For example, some variable force is given like this, and in the final answer you are asked the power in terms of A and B, right? So in such a question, this is just an example, not an exact question in terms of A and B, and you need to find the value of this. You just simply find it using dimensions, or you can check the options for the dimensions, you can easily find the dimensions over here, and then you can substitute the dimensions for A and B in this to get the dimensions of power. This will solve your time, and you do not need to prove it from force to power and solving all those equations. So this is another simple method of doing a problem faster, right? Also, just read the question properly, just frame the question properly, understand the mechanics of the problem properly, so that you do not mess up in understanding the problem and solving it in the wrong way. Because the people who set the paper think about the different ways in which a student might go wrong, and they usually keep those options also. So even if you're doing the question wrong, you might end up in an answer which is there in the option, and you might feel confident about it, although you have not read the complete problem in the way it should have been. So just take care of reading the problem, the conditions, and the things that are given in the question before attempting it. Okay. The options might also confuse you, so just take care of them. In the questions in which the ratio between two quantities needs to be found out, you need to take care of the values that have been transferred from the numerator to the denominator, or the values that are getting cancelled, and so on. These are the few tips and tricks that need to be taken care of while solving at least the physics part of the paper. Some of these might be also valid for chemistry and mathematics too. So thank you for watching today's session, and do come back for the next two sections of the paper. All the best for your JEE Mains exam. Thank you.